Okay, my people, welcome back to your favorite, your new favorite. Because talk shop, whichever one is your favorite. But we are back on Unfiltered. Have you ever heard the saying, if it's good, it must come twice? Once you're there, then make natural. You see, if it's good, it must come twice. And I was hanging out with my son, Ivan, and it was so good. I told Ivan, we have to stop it here, man. But what? You must come twice. So, folks, guess who's back again with me? Ivan, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
It's so good. You have to come twice.
Oh, sure. I'll come again.
You come again.
Like I said, always refreshing to be back here.
And it's always refreshing to have you.
Yes.
But I want to continue from where we left off the other time.
Okay.
We talked about so many things, but it was more like the general change that we have had,
yes,
and some of the general things going on. I want to move into some specifics a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm going to start with the most current, the Ablekuma election,
okay,
and the deal with Akuffo. Yeah. And actually the press conference that Mahama should actually apologize for it.
President Mahama must publicly condemn the Ablekuma North violence and personally apologize to Honorable Mavis Habakumson, Nanekwe Friye, and all the victims of the violent attacks. His statement must be unequivocal and without any qualification or justification for the violence. I
just want your views. Let me hear you.
Yes, I think that I'm somebody who has been very critical about state institutions being effective, because I believe that these are the foundations of our democracy.
Thank you. State institutions.
Yes, they are the foundational institutions of our democracy, and there is the need for us to establish that trust, that sense of that sense of confidence, and then they must also exhibit confidence so that people will actually have that absolute trust in these institutions. The Electoral Commission as an institution over the years, for me, they've been performing below, and the Electoral Commission is partially to be blamed for what happened at this particular place. Because first of all, if you look at the way and manner they've been operating over the years, especially if I'm to narrow the conversation to the recent elections, the way and manner they conducted themselves, flouting electoral rules with impunity, that actually gave rise to some of these things. For instance, per the CI, when elections are conducted, the agent that are supposed to count and then announce, in the case of the parliamentary elections, give the results at the constituency. We had that particular thing during the election day. Then, moment after, the Electoral Commission came with flimsy excuses, annulling all these results without providing any sensible justification as to why they were annulling these elections. And then they carried the ballot boxes, everything to Accra, under the guide of police and military supervision, recounted whatever that they did and redeclared the election, which was a direct deviation from the initial declaration. Surprisingly, almost all the elections that were brought to Accra for recount or whatever, recollation, whatever,
I remember,
had an outcome which was different from
the original
one. That could have been a recipe for disaster. But because the ultimate outcome of the presidential election had already been declared, people were a bit comfortable because people were very much interested in that particular thing. So that is where this whole thing started with the Ablekuma case. Few days ago, we had Bosman Asare, who appeared before Parliament, swear under the oath, and told the whole world that it's left with 3 polling stations to be collated so that the grand destiny will be declared. The moment after, the same people come and tell you, oh, we are going to do a rerun at 19 polling stations. State institutions are not supposed to be changing position in such a fragile, sensitive situation like this. You may have a reasonable cause of justification, but you see, public trust is also very, very important because people are following. Then we go to this election, and then macho man, and I think there was a security lapse. That is why I call on the IGP to do things right, because if you look at the way and manner the situation out there was managed, it was security, in terms of security, it was
the
very
complete
poor.
Breakdown.
Yes, because we take a cue from what happened at Ayawaso West Wagon.
Yes.
And it has always been on our lips.
Yes.
we've been talking about how we need to take away this act of violence from our elections and make sure elections become safe, and people will have this thing to go there, go to choose whoever. But we cannot begin to militarize electoral polling stations where people will go under the guise of it's whole lot. So for me, I think in terms of security, there was a breach, and going forward, I expect the security agencies to take this particular issue up, whoever that is culpable. I've seen a couple of nasty videos in the case of how Akumsin, there is a whole lot of explanation that has been given. I'm told she went to the ground with pepper spray, sprayed on some people, and you see, these are acts of criminality. I don't condone those who attack her, but if indeed she also went to the poll with that particular pepper spray, you are not supposed to, because that thing is a weapon, you understand? So why would a former government official go to a polling station, announce on radio, I'm going to the polling station, and indeed go there with a pepper spray? You understand? It doesn't justify the attack on her, though. But fortunately for us, we have all the individuals on video footages, which the security agencies can do whatever investigation that they want to do. Because I know that we want closure. We want to see that some individuals are prosecuted out of this particular thing. And this act of vigilantism, which we've spoken against in the past, where from all these metro men cladded in t-shirts all over the place, it takes us back. For instance, because I think if you look at where we are really advancing as a country, and we don't want to be exposing ourselves to some of these trivial kind of electoral violence. If you don't manage some of these things, these are fragile situations. If you don't take care, they may escape out of hand. Very often you look around Sudan, you see people are fighting. You look at Rwanda, people are fighting. You might think that but that is not the case. You see, when people lose trust in state institutions, people don't trust the state anymore. So it's all a matter of trust.
Where they take things into your own hands. Because they don't trust the system. They are not institutions that they feel is protecting them.
Yes, because if you go to Sudan, most of the people you call rebels, some are medical doctors. They sat in the classroom. They are very intelligent people. Some are ex-military officers. These are highly intelligent individuals who are not supposed to be rebels. But because the system has failed them, they've transformed themselves into rebels, living in the bush. When you see that, you say, oh, these people are nobody. Some are doctors, some are professors, some are PhD holders, some are specialized trained individuals from diverse aspects. You understand? But because the system has failed them, they have decided to take a fight to the state in whichever form so it's possible here. And in Africa, I think that there are a lot of graveyard you can pinpoint because of electoral violence. These things, we are just knocking at the door. Ghana is not immune to some of these things if we don't do things right. So I think it's a cautionary statement that the Electoral Commission must, because I have called for their removal. That one, I am not running away from it, because they have demonstrated nothing but sincere and crass incompetence. The recklessness that these people have.
Sincere and crass.
Yes, very, 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 very incompetent. And for me, we need to hold them accountable, because we cannot live in the state where people...
A quick rewind.
Okay.
We experienced that something of this sort at Ayawaso.
Yes.
Is it goes back to what you're saying?
Yes.
That there are no institutions that are strengthened. Nothing happened.
Nothing.
Everybody got away with it, and so that has in itself ability to generate a repeat.
Exactly. It's just a replay, because Ayawaso West Wagon, because of public pressure, the president set up a committee, a commission. They did whatever they did. I don't know the punitive sanctions that were supposed to be applied. Nothing. The president even didn't sign even the white paper. It was trashed. So I don't know, the whole entire work of the commission was consigned to a political dustbin somewhere in the Jubilee House. Nothing was done. Individuals walked free. Some judge who was then an MP was slapped. It was live on TV. Nobody did a thing. You understand?
It was okay by the system.
Exactly. This generated further when we went to the main election in Techiman, when I saw military men clad in uniform shooting innocent, helpless people in a crowd. And the justification was that, they were throwing stones at her. Are you mad? If somebody is throwing a stone, must you return a fire, a gun? And we justify these things. As we speak, no single individual has been picked up for such act. So we have normalized this crazy stuff. So it's normal. We are Ablekuma, and it's normal.
It's accepted.
Exactly. And the general election we had recently, it's the same thing. So we see this thing is being extended further and further and further. So people will go to Ablekuma
with
their chest out, we are the metro man for this party. They know the system gives a free ride. Nobody will hold them accountable. You understand?
Will happen. Yeah.
And we having this conversation. Let's watch how similar thing is going to play out at Akuffo.
Yeah.
And nothing will come out of it. So we cannot continue to create such loose ends. For me, I think we must be deliberate in our policy. Some of these things may not generate into some kind of extraneous distance, but if care is not taken, we are gradually walking into an arena of chaos, an arena of pandemonium.
And you can see the build-up. It's coming.
Yes. Because if I feel the system is cheating me, all that I have to do is to muzzle up these people who have these guerrilla enterprises that have been fighting regimes and thereabout. They know they can't fight you straightforward. So they will transform themselves into a guerrilla army, attack you when you least expect, asymmetric attack, those kind of stuff. You are not aware they are attacking you. These things can give rise to some of these things. So I think we need a deliberate policy to curtail some of this surging nonsense. But we cannot allow these things to fester anymore.
Yeah.
If they continue,
in your view, what would the policy be? What should happen? In your view,
I think there must be a radical crackdown on some of this political vigilantism. A radical crackdown, and sanctions applied, irrespective of where their lineage, association, alliances, whatever. We need to very deliberate, and we must also empower the police. Because you see, the funniest part of it, what was happening at Ablekuma, I saw police officers standing there helpless.
Well, are we to say they were not? Didn't they have the power to do something?
They were.
So what empowerment are they waiting
exactly,
for?
Because they were there, no tactical gear. They didn't even, because maybe they thought that there was not going to be any. But you can't assume.
But when prepared, I saw all the vans before the election. So these people have come to make sure that they are going to put things under control.
Yes. So this time the idea was to demilitarize this whole thing. Don't go there with a weapon. But in a crowded place like that, you can have a patrol team on standby. But what we saw, the metro men were running the show. The police people were begging metro men to stop what they are doing. It's very embarrassing.
The police were onlookers.
And
everything was at the mercy of the metro
exactly.
men.
And the police officer, they were only attacking females. There was a police officer who slapped a journalist. That was very embarrassing. Police officer slapped a journalist. Metro men were there. He couldn't go to them and attack them. But helpless journalist somewhere was the person she slapped. So you see, this whole thing is a bit fractured. And I think if we are resetting, we need to reset in this particular fashion. In the case of the NPP losing the election, I've told you that the NPP continue to be a sinking enterprise, even in opposition. Because when you go into an election and you lose, one thing people don't realize, if you do deeper political analysis, you come to the realization when you lose power, you don't just lose power, you lose connection with the people. So you begin to build bridges.
And how you reconnect with your lost base.
Build trust. But they appear to be sitting on high horses. Still same arrogant posture, talking anyhow, without thinking about how to put the machine, the NPP, as a political tool together. Because this is the time for them to be engaging, do a wider consultation. People who angrily left, like Alan worth a lot of political capital, whichever way you see it. This is the time for the party to do that sober reflection and begin to see how you can amass your strength and build a very potent front. But look at all they said they are going to elect a flag bearer even before they build the party. So look at this. We are going to, there is an election going on at Ablekuma. Then the party take the issue to court. Then I know that the ruling didn't go in your favor. Then the whole general secretary of the party staged a press conference and told the whole world we are not going to take part in this election.
Under no circumstances will we be intimidated. Under no circumstances will we be coerced to go for a rerun. We will not go for any rerun. The new patriotic party will not go for any rerun.
The general secretary is supposed to be the CEO of the party. And whatever that he says must reflect the collective will of the entire party machinery. Then he does that press conference all over. People have agreed the MPP is not contested. The following day, the contestant is out there campaigning.
You asked me a question. Are you contesting? I'm contesting.
Yeah, and I'm asking because this week we had a press conference here, and the National Executive said they are pulling out of that election. That is
nobody is. I am contesting.
In the company of the same party executive, that tells you how fractured the party leadership is. That tells you that the center cannot hold. There is no leadership in the party, and that there is the need to spend time to build the party. You understand? But it's about individual interest trying to impose an individual. So we don't care if the party is fractured or not. So let's go ahead and build. You cannot build a story building in a water lodge area. You understand?
Yeah.
And for me, that is the problem. So what happened? They losing the election. That was their own design. That was their own craft. Because this whole thing, they've not figured things out. That is why I told you, sir, they are still living in the 12th century, where we are living in the 21st century. They are still stuck at the 12th. They don't realize the radical change that has happened at the political arena. You need to do things right. See how to reconnect with people and see that you cannot play on the minds of people when you yourself, the leadership yourself, you are not even competent enough to be trusted with some of these key decisions. You understand? If you are going to election, you go. If you are boycotting, you are boycotting. There is no in between. You understand?
Yeah.
But if a general secretary and the leadership will give,
we are not going,
and then other people are there defying, and you have the flag bearer and the other key people also going to support party executive who are supposed to be part of this decision that was made earlier, it tells you the whole thing is disjointed and a sinking entity. That time must be spent to ensure that they put their houses together before any other thing. But because of this high-powered arrogance, inflated ego,
which shocks
people
me, because
don't see it.
I would have thought that after the elections, and this is what surprises me, even to come out and say, no, NDC didn't win, we lost.
Election, no, and NDC, no, we win election, no. Yeah, NPP, they lose the election.
And then in the next breath, admit that you have over 2 million people who didn't vote.
For social NPP vote, no. We had a decline in our vote, about 4 by 2.1 million relative to 2020. It is about 2.1 million.
I would think that the whole concentration now will be how to build the bridges.
Yes.
All those who left, how do we bring them back?
Yes.
But incidentally, it doesn't have any impact on anybody, and you're still riding on high horses, making declarations, further distancing you from the people you are supposed to be bringing in. Your views.
Yeah, I think the spaces are filled with emotions, and reason is no longer a friend of the NPP.
Which is very sad.
Yeah, reasoning has left them. So people are just operating at the behest of twisted individual emotions. Whatever that comes to mind, that will appear to be having that grandstanding position. That is what is appealing to them for now. So if they will avail their mind, if they will avail themselves to reasoning, common sense, and begin to, because you see, if our democracy will be sustainable, we need other structures to be also very potent, to be able to offer that kind of constructive this thing that we desire. Because we are building a democracy, we are not building a one-party state. So other entities must also have that particular kind of strength, sitting from afar, being able to throw in a lot of constructive criticism that will shape government and policies, so that for the good of the people, you understand. But they've not. To say that we didn't lose the election, our people didn't vote. Any logical political analyst will tell you what are the reasons which accounted for your people not coming out to vote. That alone itself is a no vote. You understand? So there is no justification in some of this. The fact is that the government spent 8 years messing up this country. They messed everything up. People became so arrogant to the extent that they were not even amenable to common reasoning, logic, and common sense. People were angry, and they were rather insulting people here and there. Policies of the government at the end of the day sent this government to the abyss. Economic front. Look at all the credible rating agencies in Ghana downgrading Ghana to junk status. It got to a time we could not even go out there to borrow. The CD was out there going way wide. So these are the underpinning factors. You need to accept them and say, hey, we failed. That is the word the NPP is not willing to accept. You understand? The fact is that
people are actually saying there are people in Ghana who are missing the NPP. I think a minister said that they are calling for the NPP. Come and say,
any boy by ye, but means you're more penny, and you're more now, a connection. Obuchi or minor connection. And see, I might have say Ghana for Afi NPP, Ghana for a social NPP.
Is it me who is deluded? Or they who are deluded? Come on, man.
That's a grand delusion. Politics is cheap in this country. So anybody at all can just spin anything and get away with it. And that lately we have spin doctors whose job is to spin the narrative just to convince people. So anybody can just say anything. But if you get back to your analytical table as a sensible human being who understands politics and how things play out, I'm not sure you'll be making such cheap comments, because the scars that the Akufo-Addo's bad governance left are still fresh on our conscience. Ghanaians have not forgotten about it. You understand? So if there is anything they need to do, they need to tone down, come down from the high horses, continue to try to connect with the people, how to win the goodwill. As we speak,
how to win the goodwill.
Yes, Mahama has been in power since, but still the gentleman has goodwill on his side. There are a few things that are obviously might have gone the other way, but because he still has goodwill, doing the right thing. So the opposition is not offering anything sensible. Things they are supposed to criticize, you don't see anything. Things they are not supposed to, that is what they criticize, because they think being opposition is all about criticizing people. No, that shouldn't be the case. So for me, I think they need to regroup and maybe look at how the party structure itself as it stands now can be rebuilt or maybe restructured to have competent people in leadership position. Because the caliber of people leading the party, I don't know. Come on.
Nyaho Tamakro had said something similar.
Yes.
That all these top executives, all of you come down. I mean, he was saying they should all even step aside, regroup, and bring a new caliber of leadership.
Yes, fresh energy. But you see, this mentality of Meba Hatchet, you know, when I came here, that kind of nonsense always lead the way. For me, I think this current group of leadership, come on, they need to sign out for a new group of people to take over. Maybe those people will be able to sign and build the party properly, so that going into the election, because I keep telling people that, you see, political parties are vehicles. We used to capture political power. The vehicle must be in the pole position to carry the crowd. But as you speak, the vehicle MPP is fractured. And very often, people don't even understand the enormity of the things we speak of. For instance, there is this argument of NDC MPP not being good. I'm saying, when you're making that argument, compare NDC to Kufuor's MPP. Because the Akufo-Addo's MPP is a different thing altogether. That was a criminal entity. It's like you having a bus, and somebody comes, hey, Charlie, I want to hire your bus to go and carry some church people to Kumasi. By the time you realize the person had gone to steal goats, and it's been caught by the police somewhere, and you are called, hey, your car is being used to transport stolen goods somewhere. The gentleman came in the name of going to take church people somewhere.
That's why I rented the bus out.
That is exactly what Akufo-Addo has done to the MPP. The Kufuor's vehicle was hijacked by these people to destroy this country. So the MPP became a vehicle they used to destroy this country. So that comparison doesn't come in the NDC MPP. This is a typical criminal entity, and everything that they did, the fingerprints are there. And unfortunately for them, the kind of criminality that they were cooking, the people cooking were so unintelligent to the stance there. It was all over the place. That is why I say unintelligent criminals stealing from us. You understand? So I think they need to accept this harsh reality. See, these things are things nobody will tell you. But some of us will tell you, even in your bedroom, we will look you in the face and tell you. These are the harsh realities that they need to accept and begin to work around it and see, hey, let's just depart from this.
What's your reaction to sorry to cut you, President Kufuor now saying he has been sidelined?
Ghana, political party, political history. I can't say UGCC, but if 47 and 69 was their time, me need power for Ghana. 2 years, 3 months, was their time. Me, 69, maybe 30 years, and be a member of parliament. Be a founding member of Progress Party. 2 years, 3 months, was I am a deputy foreign minister. A champion 2 years. They will say, Metuman Nam the Ashaford prison with them 1 year, 3 months. Something that they are causing behind another detention. But I know I need the build year. From 72 January, a champion 2 years side, the tradition. There are more power beyond that till 2001. Me, I'm a crane departing by power. 2 times. Ghana, didn't see. Anyway, I then I bet you say, a young woman, a prepare woman, Na bibi se beko na nyame ada o ma me to na ya beg no me kura. Mente ase.
Is that a part of the whole destruction of the base? You said it's been fractured. This is like
yes. Yeah, I think it's a bit interesting in Kuffour's case.
Yeah.
And I think the argument around this are quite diverse. Look, depending on where you take it from.
Yeah.
Yes, because Kufuor is supposed to be a statesman. And as a statesman, when you become a statesman, you transform yourself from being a partisan instrument or a partisan element into a national instrument, where you begin to see things from a very dispassionate perspective, very objective, independent-minded, and chronicle issues for the sake of public good. For the past years that Akuffo has been in government, we saw a lot of excesses, a lot of nasty stuff. Everything was going wayward, but not on a single occasion did we see President Kufuor activate his sense of nationalism, and that is a source of worry to a lot of people. You understand? Because at the time, some of us were out there talking. We are young people. We've not tasted any power, but we are so much passionate and concerned about the destructive nature the country was heading towards. But as a statesman, he didn't see anything wrong with that. And surprisingly, during the elections, he availed himself on political platform campaigning for the same entity that has been sinking this country. When you do that, people will see you as a political element, not a national person. And for me, that is where he did, that is the kind of mistake. Maybe he doesn't even see it's a mistake, but for me, from a very analytical point of view, that's how I see.
He misfired.
He misfired badly. That is why in the run-up to the elections, Kufuor is not somebody people are supposed to insult, but people were all over him. You understand? And today he says he's been sidelined by the same entity he has been protecting. It's quite sad, you understand? Because you see, now the NPP is undergoing some kind of a chess play, like a chessboard. People are just pushing the numbers just to suit them. People are building political empire, lineage, just to have strength. So it's not about that wider consultation anymore. It is about who takes over the party. That is why the last time I was telling that if you look at the party, it was turning into something like a snake pit. There is a mother serpent sitting out there and the children are in the hole. Everybody is fighting for attention. You understand? Whoever that struggles to come on top will catch the eye of the mother serpent, and that's exactly what is happening. So there is no recognition for merit, that kind of value, morality. Though you must do everything to win. The Chinese principle, everything that you can do to win, that's accepted, and that's exactly where the party found itself. Because at this time, President Kufuor should be the very person who should be ushering the party and telling them things we are saying here. But he said he's been listened to because you have traded your statesman position for something else. You've taken position because he was out there supporting Bawumia during the distance. So I don't know that if you say anything, you think the other parties will take you serious. You understand? So if he's complaining,
he missed the big picture.
Yes. I think he has traded his position for something he was not supposed to, and that has landed him where he is. A lot of people have lost trust in him. The confidence is not there, and the element of respect is not there anymore. It's the reason why he sees himself being jettisoned by big element in the party, because he's supposed to be consulted. He's supposed to be engaged. If nothing at all, he's the former president, the only living one. Recently, Kufuor has been added up, but he should have a big play in the affairs of the party. But if you are being jettisoned, it means that your influence, your aura, everything is no longer regarded. So the question is why? Because you've traded your position. Somebody like Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, he's one of the founding fathers of the NPP. But that gentleman never lost his cool, never lost his voice on the nasty stuff going on in this country. Because he has conscience. And that is what he's supposed to do, because allegiance isn't to political party. Political parties are just vehicles used to capture political power. The ultimate destination is the country. The country you supervise is being wrecked by.
The allegiance is to the country.
To the country, not to a party. But the country you left behind is being destroyed by certain misguided, twisted individuals in the name of having captured political power, spending family and friends enterprise, selling the country to the highest bidder, destroying everything we've built. including even the bit of sanity that has remained in this country. You sat quiet, you sat aloof, you condone everything. So if you come out today to say anything, people will bash you. So going for now that John Mahama has taken over, I'm looking at the way President Kufuor will be able to align himself and become a statesman and begin to criticize. He may have legitimate concerns because he's a former president. You can't begrudge him. He's entitled to express his opinion.
Definitely.
But once it comes in, social media will take you on and they will remind you, 8 years, what did you say? You understand? That is why I'm saying that in politics, we need to position yourself in such a way that you don't appear a bit loose to one particular side. Lose your conscience. You may be NDC, you may be NPP. If that thing is wrong, it's wrong. If it is right, it's right. That's my policy.
Simple.
You understand? You take
End of discussion.
End of discussion. It doesn't matter. President Mahama can be my friend. If he does something and it's wrong, it is wrong.
You will let him know.
You let him know. You prompt him. There are times he may not even know, because the design of our politics is such that very often president and minister assemble around themselves bootlickers, sycophants who are there to sing hallelujah choruses. Even if you are naked, they won't tell you, because all they want is the money. But you need that independent, fair-minded individual out there who look at you in the face and say, Charlie, you are messing up. But that is the thing that is missing. That is the thing that brought the concept of chief of staff in American politics. The chief of staff is supposed to be somebody, a grown, a very experienced person who can scold the president in the room and say, hey, Charlie, stop this nonsense before you even meet your cabinet. You understand? But in recent times, how valuable
the chief of staff, somebody you can control.
You can control, but it's not supposed to be so.
Who owes you something?
Yes, because in America we call them the gatekeepers. If you keep the gate of the White House, it depends on your chief of staff. So they are supposed to wield enormous powers, but over the years they take away power from them. You understand? There has been instances ministers don't even accord the kind of respect. They think they are powerful, but the chief of staff is the next to the president. Supposed to be a very powerful person who can scold the president, tell him in his face things are wrong. You understand? So I think if we begin to unpack all these things and have a proper appreciation of what the concept of politics, power is all about, maybe we'll be in the highway and do things right.
Whoa! Let's move on. You know, we've looked at this recent election. What do you foresee in Akwatia very quickly? If things do not change, they're going to go in as is. What do you foresee in Akwatia?
Akwatia election is going to take a different trend altogether, because there is this incumbency advantage for the ruling NDC. So in terms of victory, it may shift towards the NDC because everybody want to align itself with the ruling government just to have some a bite of the pie. So that one. But I'm scared about other stuff that may emerge. For instance, in terms of violence, it's likely because the political parties are going to fiercely contest the particular elections, and it might result in a bloodshed, confusion, that kind of stuff. So the security agencies need to design a well thought through plan and see how they can avert some of these possible calamities likely to emerge, because I foresee that one. If care is not taken, we'll be talking about a different thing altogether, and that will be a blot on this particular government. So I think the government will have to do everything to avert any possible calamity that may emerge.
And this is my view, and me, I defer, even when I'm talking to you, I defer to people because I know that I'm articulate, but I'm not an astute political chess player. Meaning I didn't that much, you know. But so based on that, if it was left to me alone, I would say, Charlie, this election crime, she should. They have nothing to lose but save a lot of blood. If they say, what? Let me hear you. What difference will it make, though? Maybe I'm talking from a very inexperienced view, but
no. You're talking from a very benevolent perspective. But politics is the other way around. Politics is not a game, and you cannot cede power to your opponent. It creates.
No, but the bigger picture.
I
don't think. Okay, go on. No, let me listen to you.
It's not about who leads. It's about bringing development to the doorsteps of the people.
Thank you.
It is about who can go and influence policies, if that is how it's supposed to be.
Is that how they are seeing it on the ground?
That is how it's supposed to be, but unfortunately, there is this sharp deviation, you understand? Because you need to empower somebody who can go and have your interest being advocated for at the corridors of power. So you cannot portray that in the name of in politics, you do that, you create weakness. And weakness is something that you must not be entertained in politics, because your opponent will always capitalize on such weakness, and it will come back to bite you. You understand? So it's something that the NDC cannot afford to say, hey, no. If you do that, your base will be very disappointed in you.
I see.
Political watchers will see you not as a serious political entity.
Weakness,
yes,
and not.
No, out of benevolence, because politics it has nothing to do with benevolence. It's about policies and programs being done right and servicing people, for instance. So if they can get somebody elected from the NDC who can go get closer to the president and advocate for whatever that they need, it will benefit the people there. You understand? The national party at the top can take that decision, but that will not benefit the people at the ground. We need to give them that particular power to decide. I know that if they decide to vote for NPP, that is their own choice. You understand? So the choice must not be taken away from them. And for me, I think the election has to be conducted.
Okay. Hey, I mean, you've made some point. I mean, in my what do you call it? Benevolent?
I think
you're using your words very nicely.
Professor Jampo also made similar thing.
Oh, really?
I know the NDC should just, but in politics it's a different thing.
It's a different thing. Yes. It's not time for benevolence.
No.
It's time for action and showing strength.
Yes.
Even at the risk of maybe a bloody thing.
No, you see, that is why the government has the power
to make sure.
Exactly. Okay. So if you forgo the elections with the mindset that we are vetting a possibility, you are just advertising incompetence. You are telling people that you cannot provide security. That is why you are not contesting.
Okay. I bow. I bow. Okay.
Sure.
So you make sure that you go and compete, but make sure that the law is restricted, so there's no violence.
No violence.
Crap. Just make sure that you.
Yeah, because people have concerns about this by-election.
Yes.
So if you're able to do that, it's one hurdle you've jumped, and people will give you credit for having supervised or conducted a very credible election with no violence. And I think that will also add to the political capital. Yes, so the political capital associated with this isn't about who wins. It's also providing safe zone for the elections. That will add to the government credit for supervising this, despite recent history of carnage at various polling stations. So foregoing is not an option.
Not the option.
Yes.
Okay. I think I'm convinced.
Yeah.
I think I'm convinced.
Yeah, you should.
But let's move on to. There's been a lot of discussion. This Supreme Court issue, the Chief Justice thing. What is your opinion on all of that?
I think it's one of the issues I've been very passionate about. If you've been following me, I've made a lot of videos on this whole thing because you see, when I started the conversation, I told you that state institutions are supposed to be the foundational element of our democracy, and the prominent ones among them are the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. These are supposed to be institutions people should have unfettered trust. The fidelity should be absolute, unwavering, resolve in these institutions. They should stand still, one man standing. Even if everything is going to betray this country, not these institutions. But very often, Parliament tends to become some kind of partisan stuff. Executive, depending on who is in power, tends to behave some way, a bit unrefined in the way they do things. But the judiciary has a very revered role to play in our integration as people, in our cohesion as people. So that institution cannot afford bias, cannot appear unindependent, cannot appear to be unneutral. It's supposed to engender trust and absolute confidence. In the past few years, one of the talking points in our political discussion has been the judiciary. Issue about non-commonsensical rulings. Rulings come out of the apex court. You read from ordinary person, say, this is absolute crap.
They got the name unanimous.
Exactly.
Something.
Yes. The judiciary was subjected to public mortification on various political platforms with names famously like you mentioned, unanimous 11, unanimous whatever. So that defamed the judiciary. It killed public trust. There was no confidence. So all the polls that were run prior to the election pointed to the fact that public trust and confidence in the election were quite low. I've told you, politics, perception is very key, very important because it informs political choices. That is why corruption, they don't measure corruption in anything. We measure it through perception. because it is that inform political choices. So when people perceive that their judiciary is corrupt, it will inform the kind of choices. In recent time, if you have observed, there are a lot of killings going on in this country. There are a lot of attacks. People don't have trust in the institution. I will not waste my time go to court. I will take vengeance on you. You understand? So when people lose trust in the institution, that is what happens. So that is why some of us were very vocal when President Kufuor decided to pack the Judiciary, Supreme Court, and other with friendly people, individuals with non-party ties. You see, you might argue, yes, they have the qualification, they have, but the optics of it. We are dealing with human beings. We are not dealing with robots. People with emotions. They can read and understand. So the very moment you appoint parliamentary field candidates of a particular political party into the judiciary, it raises concern. You understand? The person may be the most competent person among them, but the optics doesn't make sense. It's highly unreasonable to do these things. But the gentleman decided never to listen to anybody. Decided to pack the judiciary. At the point, we even went past the usual number of 14, and he kept packing. And it got to a time, the rulings, everything coming from the judicial, the Supreme Court were devoid of reasoning, were devoid of common sense, were devoid of logic. The poverty of logic and reasoning, most of the reasoning was so astonishing to the point that it started a lot of public conversation. You are privy to all these realities. You understand? So there were calls for consent that we need to look at our judiciary and make it, we sanitize it, because trust is low. So lo and behold, we want you to oppose, and then we had an election. A new president comes in, and there are calls. And let me also make a point that the president doesn't have power to sack or remove a chief justice.
He doesn't have the power.
There is nowhere in our constitution that says the president has the power or the authority to remove a chief justice. But his power of removal only becomes activated when a petition is sent to him. I don't know if it makes sense. The president's power to remove chief justice only becomes activated when he is petitioned by a Ghanaian. And in time past, there has been a number of such undertakings where individuals have gone through similar processes. In not the chief justice, but people at her level, high court judges, former Shraj boss, the EC boss, they are all placed at the same category. The Article 146 deals all of them. The processes and everything that were used to deal with those individuals are the same as what is being applied here. So the process has been activated. A petition is submitted to the president to do the usual thing that we know of. Then there is this hostile awakening from the woman fighting everything, creating an impression that there is a deliberate attempt to hound her out. And my position has always been, you are a chief justice. You are supposed to be a very intelligent, reasonable person. Why don't you argue your point out rather than playing the political game? Because you won't survive with the political game. So argue your point. You are being accused of having done A, B, C, D. Fight that particular thing by meeting whatever committee that you're supposed to. Then she comes up with a very extraneous argument that make you feel surprised that, well, is she really a lawyer? Because sometimes some of the arguments she has been making are fundamentally flawed. A deviation from reason and common sense. For instance, she's saying that the president, you see, when a petition is submitted to the president, he forwards to Council of State, and the Council of State will establish prima facie. That is establishing merit, because the Constitution set a threshold within which that particular merit can be established. Whether the person is incompetent, whether there is a misbehavior or infirmity, both body and mind. These are the three realms within which the Chief Justice can be removed. So a petition is submitted. The Council of State, it is not an adjudicatory body. That's it, to listen to people and say we are making a decision. They are only examining the competence of the petition that has been submitted and communicate back to the president to make a decision. It is not a court for you to say if Council of State is going to look at my petition, I must be heard. So when she wrote to the president that she should be heard, I said the president didn't have to give her a copy of the petition at that time. He did. That Mahama was being benevolent. Because he didn't have to. Because at that point, that process wasn't an adversarial process where some adverse finding could be advanced against the Chief Justice to make a case that, per the principles of natural justice, I have to be heard. At that point, it's a Council of State making assessment to see whether the petition meets a particular threshold, so that a proper adjudication process will be set in motion. That is a quasi-judicial team. That is the committee the president set up after this particular one. So at that point, if you are not heard, then your fundamental right have been breached. But per the principles of natural justice, the accused must be heard. So at that point, that is a quasi-judicial process. So you must be heard. So at the early stage, but she started making this argument up, and then she comes out with a very funny argument that the ruling from the premier facie, she has not been informed. She doesn't know the ruling. I'm saying, what ruling? The thing is not a judicial process. This is a council of state. Most of them are not even lawyers, even though there are former chief council of state. But it's not a formal judicial process where they write ruling and say, we have found her guilty here. That you must that must be availed to you. You understand? It is not a judicial process. All that the constitution says that when council of state make that decision, they communicate to the president, and president will continue with a subsequent way. And in the past, that is what has been done. This current chief justice has been part of similar process that has removed people in the past. Because Charlotte Osei went through the same procedure. She didn't ask for the ruling of premier facie. Former Shraj boss, who was appointed by Professor Mills, was removed by John Mahama in 2016. Even though it was NDC government, the petition was submitted by Addo and one Richard Niema from NPP. But Mahama, assessing that particular one, he removed that woman from power. Loretta Lamte, former Shraj boss. And then during this investigation that he did, caught some 4 judges. In the district. Yes, President Kufuor suspended these people and eventually sacked them. So the process the Chief Justice is fighting over today has not been due process. She has been part of a process that has been used to remove her other people in the past. As a Chief Justice, she didn't see anything wrong with that. But now that she's become, she is now sitting in the chair. She wants the rules to be different. When you do that, come on.
And the famous quotation, the law is the law.
The law is the law. Exactly.
No matter how many noises are made, the law is the law.
And then she comes out with another funny argument that, hey, I want the whole thing to be heard in camera. So where is this coming from? Because the constitutional framers were very explicit. It's a direct constitutional provision. Nobody can bend it. And the Chief Justice knows it. If you go to the Constitution, it is quite written clear in plain letter. The hearing must be heard in camera. The Chief Justice was asking that constitutional provision to be waived by who? Because no court on this land can waive that option. It's an explicit constitutional provision.
Why do you think she would go directly against something that is put in the Constitution, and being the Supreme Court Justice should know? This is not new to her. Why would she do that? If she didn't have a solid case, what do you think?
If you are not a person of principle, that is why you change position when it's about you. And that is why I've lost every bit of respect for her, to be very honest with you. Because she should have defended people in the past by citing some of these things. May I have argued that there are a lot of problems with our 1992 constitution because they are not in sync with normal social prevailing circumstances. But this is not the time for us to be talking about it when you have sat there, used the same process to deal with others. And now that this is your turn, you are crying foul, raising illegitimate constitutional argument regarding this whole thing.
So, quick reaction. I think there was somebody, I don't remember the name, who actually said that if the CJ is removed, they will make Ghana ungovernable.
May catch some ways to say NPP. Not just here because we are Democrats. So, yes, I mistake, no. Now you can want to. Now, yes, Chief Justice to be a baby, a petition, a bet through the day. Or bet trigger process, because all that here, Emma Ghana for I am money to me, and track Ghana has some Gima or not some Gima on your be. We make this country ungovernable. For His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC.
that is highly unreasonable. And I think the Chief Justice is not getting a wise counsel. And she's turned herself into a politician. And that is bad for her because you're not a politician, but you're now going political way, trying to whip public sentiment. That is why she staged that particular press conference.
Yeah, that long press conference.
That was bad for business. She thought she was going to flip public opinion and perception. The following day, she was down. People were on her, butu. Because you see, you're supposed to know better. The Constitution says that these things must not be discussed in public. She took the whole package, send it to the media and discuss. That is a breach of a constitutional provision. So even if this whole process that is in activation doesn't go through in terms of proving substance, what she did at the press conference is another grounds for another petition to be submitted. You understand? Yeah. So are you making reasonable decisions at this time? You understand? And for the NPP, and you see, she has deviated or departed from common sense in the sense that you see, this is a woman. You are being accused of being in bed with the NPP because of certain things that has happened. People have tagged you famously Osono Mame. That is very bad. Yeah. Takes away reputation, everything. Yeah. So if you are going for a lawyer, you go for Godfred Adame, who was Attorney General in the same administration you have been accused of being in bed with. Is it reasonable? So the poverty of thinking comes to bear here. You understand? The poverty. And again, there are a lot of institutions out there that can defend the Chief Justice, but the only entity that is out there crying about the Chief Justice is the NPP. You understand? Very often you see civil society organization independent fighting if the costs are reasonable. At this time around, you don't see anybody because people know the president has not at this point breached a single constitutional provision. And the Chief Justice herself as a lawyer hasn't been able to pinpoint exact constitutional infringement or any infraction committed thus far by the president or the process that is in motion. All that she keeps coming up are some infantile excuses that she's been sent to. Your friend is saying, what is the name of the place? Edu's Lodge, and that brings memories.
The Edu Lodge facility that the hearings are being conducted in featured very prominently in the planning of the murder of judges on June 30th, 1981. And this can be read about in the special investigative report on that terrible event in our nation's history. It will be recalled that there was a Major Samakwa, a military officer who was killed with the 3 High Court justices, who was a director of human resource of Gihok. He was my uncle and my guardian when I entered the University of Ghana in September 1980. I was also living with him at the time he was abducted and murdered. Was Edu Lodge chosen for my inquiry to make me feel insecure? I think so. And I continue to hold the view that there's no reason why a judicial hearing is being conducted behind the high walls of Edu Lodge.
Yeah, come on. That is totally outrageous. And then whole lot of funny. I mean, the most disappointing part has to do with the accusations she's heaping on her colleague Chief Justice.
Yes.
She's saying that Amadou, the other guys, Panamai and Co, are going to be biased in this whole ruling. Yeah. So the thing is, we are not just talking about any other person. We are talking about the Chief Justice, who is the administrative head of the Ghana's judiciary, supervising almost everybody. So today you are telling us that your own judges have the tendency to be biased.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So when did they become biased?
Yeah.
When? So they have that tendency. So other people have suffered similar fate in the hands of supposed biased judges under your leadership. You're only advertising incompetence, so sincere and so innocent.
Folks in the house is Ivan.
Ivan. Yes, if you hear to wise counsel, there are some of these things you avoid. And today, she's at the High Court. She has filed fresh processes at the High Court, and it's not being heard. And she jumped over to Nigeria to ECOWAS Court now, asking for $10 million to be paid. I think she's embarrassing herself. For me, I think she has to just subject herself to the in-house process.
We have just 1 minute more to go. Give her advice. Let me end on your advice to this.
I think if she will listen, I think enough of the politicking will not help her because she's not a politician. Yeah. And whatever she does within the political space will not fly. What she has to do is that respond to the accusations that has been leveled, against her. Meet the committee. Argue your case out, make your point out, let them make their decision. After that, if you think you were treated unfairly or whatever, You have a voice. You can tell the world your story, and people back you up. You understand? But some of these flimsy excuses, running around just trying to dodge the bullet, cut the convenient part, and sway public sentiment by whipping emotions and sentiment will not fly, because today the concern of the average Ghanaian, me sitting here and you, our concern is about sanitizing the judiciary.
Thank you.
Any individual is just a small piece of the bigger puzzle. So we will not sympathize with you and let go the entire judiciary. You understand? We will save the judiciary instead of individuals. So she need to package this and appreciate and avoid those bad counsel she's getting from, I don't know where she's getting those from, and maintain her position so you can live in dignity. You don't need to live in pieces, in ignominy, like you embarrass yourself at the end of the day, you go in shame. Okay, that one, because the trend and the tangent she's on, she's likely to exit in shame. And for me, I think so that's not good, because there are a lot of stuff coming up which are not supposed to if she had not done what she did. You understand? So I think if she will listen, that will help.
Folks, that is called Unfiltered, man. Ivan, I think this is I said, what did I say in the beginning? If you love it, it must come twice. Twice. Maybe one day to be, if you love it, it must come twice.
Oh, sure. We will. And I am motivated by this. We rise by lifting others. That's a very powerful. Because of this, I'll come here again.
Please come. Come and let us rise and then lift others.
Yeah, we are going to build this platform.
Thank you. And the other name for this platform is the wall. We'll sit on the wall and make sure we keep it.
We would dissect the issue from a very dispassionate angle, perspective, independent-minded, fair-minded, very
critical
objective. Critical thinking. I think that is what we need, and that is what we've been missing from mainstream media. I wonder why people you've revered so much all of a sudden depart from their principles in the name of money. Life isn't all about money. At this young age, money is not a motivation for me. I want to see people do well. I want to see young people have an opportunity, grow to become somebody. You understand? When I see people grow, that gives me. It's not about how much I have in my account. So what? I know that you can't feed everybody. You can be the richest person in Accra. Are you the poorest person in Accra? Fed yesterday. Today, the person is eating with a kid, even laughing. So you must be smart.
Unfiltered, y'all. This is called Unfiltered. Thank you so much. And
welcome, boss.
Folks, we're going to bring it to an end. But trust me, this is the new thinking program where we sit on the wall and we think intelligently, dispassionate. And this is going to be the platform that throughout the country, if you want to hear some decent, dispassionate, non-partisan thinking, come to Unfiltered. Ivan, Midawasi.
Sure. Thank you very much
for
the opportunity.
My pleasure. But before I sign up with Ivan, please check the comment section, and I want you to click the link on this petition to free Addo ACN. It's so important. We need as many signatures as possible. So click the link right now and make sure we get your signature. Catch you next time, man.
Sure.